Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys. We about to check out what Brian Schottenheimer had to say to start up OTAs. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular, and let's get right into it.
Good afternoon. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How important is it doing these voluntary sessions that you get your veteran guys here at 90% or whatever percentage you're looking for?
Well, I think they set the example for the young guys. I think that's part of it. I see these young guys as they're sponges, right? They're trying to figure out not just, hey, where do I stay? Like, how do I eat when I leave here? So they're trying to do that. So then when they're here, we try to not always partner them up per se with a veteran, but get them to where they can lean on those guys. We have the guys talk to them about different things and routines. So it's obviously voluntary. It should be voluntary. These guys have things that come up. There's nothing more important than taking care of their families and things like that. But really pleased with the turnout. And when the guys have been here, they're working their asses off.
Micah indicated that you approached him and said, I need you here. Now, obviously, he can't be 100%. Why did you feel like that was important?
Well, the first couple of days, what we were doing some, team building things, some culture. We've spoken very openly about trying to create one of the greatest cultures in professional sports.
Mm-hmm. I love that,
Micah,
man. I love that, Saudi.
Is going to be a leader for us. Micah wants to be a leader for us. He's going to do that. And so I felt like it was really important for him to be here to begin that process. And again, it's a voluntary camp, but the fact that he did that means a lot to me. We've been really spending a lot of time this offseason trying to support one another, not just me and Micah, but going to different events and functions and foundation dinners. Yeah. Osa's had his. Buddy Johnson, had a football camp. Tyler Smith has a football camp. I think if you look at the turnout that we're getting, it's been really high. And that's because we talk about it and we want to support one another. We're a family. And so when people have something like a foundation dinner event, they have a football camp, if it's important to them, then the objective and the goal should be to have as many of your family members there as possible. And of course, I'm speaking about our teammates.
Okay.
Clear. Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys. Couple of things. Just piggybacking on the Micah situation. Is he here today, and is he participating in drills or just meetings?
Yeah, he showed up a little bit the last couple of days. He's been in and out some. I don't know if he's here yet today. He was here yesterday. Had a great. Actually had lunch with him yesterday.
That's interesting.
That's
interesting.
Again, when he's here, he's been great. And again, it's just it's all voluntary. So when guys are in and they're out, some guys come to meetings, some guys come to practice, some guys are just here getting treatment and things like that. And that's not just specific to Micah. It's specific to all the guys.
Okay. Secondly, we haven't talked to you since the George Pickens
Way to protect your star player.
Just talk about the importance of him, how he fits. Does he have a defined role? And I know Will talked yesterday about how you were a big part of keeping that thing going and making sure it happened.
Yeah, I think CD said it best. I saw his comments, right, where we don't have a one. We don't do A's and B's. We think that there's a one over there. CD said it. And if you look over there, there's a one there. So I think that's the way that we view GP.
Love it.
My
As you should.
time with him has been just incredible. When he came in after the trade, just getting a chance to really get to know him. We had a little free throw shooting competition. I think he beat me twice. I've beaten him once, but the last time we played, I beat him. So I do want to put that out there that I did beat him. But it's really just, us getting to know each other. I think we were all on board. I think we're always trying to find the right pieces and good pieces. And I think we're really excited about what he brings as a football player. But I see a guy that's maturing. I see a guy that we're excited to put out there and watch him grow and get better. And you guys will see him out there today. He obviously is a tremendous athlete, but I love watching him in meetings because in meetings he's been so dialed in, taking great notes. He knows he's a little bit behind, not a lot, but a little bit behind in terms of what the veterans are doing. But his intentionality in the meeting room has been really cool for me to see.
Thank you.
Brian, talked with you. It's been, the free throw shooting contest. Where, when, how do you do this?
Anywhere and everywhere. We do some things in the team room. We do some things in my office.
He opened up water bottle for no reason.
I just lost to the QBs in my office. Actually, Dak was my teammate, so I guess Dak lost too. He'll be mad that I told you guys that. It's just the central theme of the program is compete every day, and so we find different ways to do it. We look at what's going on in the world. Congratulations to the Stars. I think that's really cool for Dallas professional sports, what they're doing. So at some point in a team meeting, we might, shoot at some goals with a hockey stick and maybe a soft puck, not a hard puck. But we look at different ways to compete, and we did something for the Masters the other day that was pretty cool.
Just don't start smashing watermelons.
Putt off, but get these guys in different types of environments and ask them to do different things. And it's fun to watch these world-class football players that absolutely suck at shooting free throws. I mean, literally, like, I'm not going to say names, Osa, that really was not very good. But it's fun to watch these guys compete and get outside their comfort level, but to try to one-up each other.
Another guy we've not asked you about much maybe is Joe Milton. What are your first impressions been of him, being around him, and what do you envision of him this year?
So excited about Joe. I was excited about Joe before we got him. Same thing. Here's a guy when you go into these deals and you're talking about making trades, and we all reach out to people that people that you trust, people that have been exposed to said player at college, different programs, friends that have been around him. And you just dig and you ask and you get different opinions, and there's always an outlier, good and bad, with each of them. You try to peel those away. But from the time he's been here, the work ethic is incredible. He's one of the first people in the building. He's one of the last to leave. The way he's attacked the playbook and picking it up has been incredible. And it's been fun for me to watch Dak and Will, but really Dak take a mentorship role with Joe. The talent speaks for itself. You guys will see it today. He made some incredible throws yesterday. He's just an exciting young prospect that I think the sky's the limit for.
He didn't want to talk too much about Joe.
When you take over as head coach, the offense looks a certain way on paper. And now since then, you've added guys, free agency, the draft, obviously George. From an offensive play caller standpoint, what do you think of when you're looking at this offense on paper right now?
I love our balance. It's a great question, John. I love our balance. I think you look at what we did from a free agency standpoint, bringing in Miles and Javonte and Rob Jones on offense. We weren't done with that. Move in the first round and take Tyler Booker, who we're really excited about. I need to find out if the Turtles are here. I don't know if the Turtles are here. I need to ask him that. But getting GP was big for us. But, again, it speaks to competition. We're trying to create competition at every level. What makes Dak Prescott better? Joe Milton. What makes CeeDee Lamb better? George Pickens. What makes Jaden Blue better? Having Javonte Williams. And so I think as you look at what we're doing –
interesting. Notice
Jerry,
which running back
Steven,
he named
and Will
first.
have done an incredible job of creating that competition across the board at multiple spots, and that's what you're going to see today. You'll see guys that are taking first-team reps. Are they the starters? No, they're just taking first-team reps today. Do we change it up? Of course we do, because we're all about creating competition. And so I think, I see a unit that's got a ton of playmakers and pieces, but we're going to go based on how our offensive line goes. And they're going to play really, really physical. They're going to be tone setters, if you will, and that's very exciting.
And then with Dak, what do you expect him to be able to do this week on the field?
He looks good. He's, again, you guys will see him out there today. He's doing his normal stuff. He's getting most of the work with the ones. We're rolling some guys through there, but you'll see him.
So Dak seems like a full go.
I think he's progressing nicely.
Tommy Yards, DallasCowboys.com. Brian, what are you looking for from these running backs? Are you leaning more maybe towards by committee to start, or what have you seen in the early goings from even some of the rookie guys too, like Jaden and Phil?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. I think last year we went into it thinking, it was going to be by committee, and then at the end of the year we changed that. I think it's really early. We want these guys to compete.
Not committing to a
the
committee.
thing we know about Javonte and Miles, right? They've been there. They've done that. They both had very successful seasons. They have a little bit of a head start because they've been here since the start of phase 1, so they're a little bit ahead of Phil and Jaden. But when you look at what you see from Jaden and you see from Phil, you see that it's going to be a really fun offseason, a fun training camp. But again, I think I've said this in here before, like, you're not going to find out much about running backs watching them compete in shorts. Like, it just, it's not how the game is played. So we won't really know. I think the numbers were 68 days away from our first training camp padded practice. And so, it's one that you have optimism, but you also don't get too far ahead of yourselves when you're talking about the running back position. And again, I'd be remiss for not talking about Hunter Lepke. Here's a guy that, he's playing some one back for us. He's playing some fullback. He's playing some tight end. And all he does is do everything well.
Interesting.
Nick Harris for Star Telegram. When it comes to competition this early in off-season program, is there anything a guy can really do to separate, or is it really just kind of looking at tenacity and things like that?
Good question, Nick.
I think it starts. The answer to the question is the way we're limited with what we can do in terms of contact and stuff, which I'm okay with. It's more about the understanding from the mental aspect of the plays and the system, and you'll see our guys. We talk about having competitive practices, not combative practices. You're not allowed to have combative practices. The league, the NFLPA, and the league has made that very clear to us. So we're competing every day to throw the best practice of anybody in the National Football League. And yesterday was a good start. Today, we'll see how we do today. But again, at the end of the day, to me, it starts with the first thing with our identity as a football team is we want to play smart. So when we look at today, going into OTA 2, how did we handle the OTA installation? How do we handle the carryover stuff from yesterday that we apply today? Now moving into a third down day, which you guys will see us working that situation today. It's more of that, because you talk about intensity and things like that. You got to be mindful of that as a coach, and I can't ask these guys to go too far. So you have to teach them how to practice. I've said it.
That scared the crap out of me.
What's going to separate us, in my opinion, is the way we practice. And right now we're practicing in an OTA format, which means there's limitations to what you can do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we can't do it better than anybody in the world.
I like that. I like that mindset, though. I like that mindset a lot.
Cornerback was one of the positions where you made a lot of off-season additions. How do you feel about the health of the position where it's at now?
Good question.
Will actually be able to participate at this point in the off-season program?
I feel good about it. I think the draft was big for us with Savone. I think, we wanted to, add some depth at that spot. Kyer Elam has been just awesome for us. We do a thing where we kind of monitor the top speeds each week that our guys have hit in phase 2 out there running, and he's had one of the fastest times each week, which is great. Trayvon Duran, getting Kalen Carson back, he's moving around a lot better now. I feel like, again, we won't know. We won't put timetables on the injured guys, but I think you'll see early on in training camp that the depth should be there for us.
Okay. So they don't seem too worried about the corner position.
You've talked about culture a lot the last few months. Just curious, when you acquire a guy like George Pickens, who has some question marks in that regard, where he's coming from, how do you integrate him and how do you make sure it's a smooth transition?
Well, I think we did a ton of research into GP. Again, my interaction with GP has been incredible. I think he's going to fit in awesome with what we're trying to do here. You guys have talked to him, I think, over the phone, and he's all about, a new opportunity. So, we all change, we all adjust, we all grow. I'm thrilled with the way the guys have responded to him. Again, him and CD. It's a chance for he and CD. They've trained together. They're spending time together. I don't know what event they were at the other day where, they were some baseball game or something. But
Kyler Murray's foundation.
When we did our homework on GP, we don't have those concerns, and we're bringing him into a culture
on GP.
That we feel like he'll thrive just like everybody else. Why? Because it's important to us, and we're going to get to know him and learn his story, just like we're learning the stories of Solomon Thomas and David Overstreet and everybody else.
And when it does come to culture, how important is Dak just to the entire operation of you setting that tone the way that you want to?
We want Dak to play quarterback to the best of his ability. He's a great culture piece because he's such a good dude. and he's such a great teammate, and his story is incredible. But when you talk about culture, it's more than just one guy, and that's what I think I'm so excited about with all the new pieces that we've added. And it probably sounds coach speak, but it's really not. We've added all these new pieces. So it's our job as a coaching staff to get these guys to hang out together outside of the building, spend time together in the building, get to know each other. Coaches get with their players, go to dinner, do things together, because we have to learn each other's stories and each other's scars so that we can truly learn how to work together and love one another and support one another. We're all going to have good days and bad days, and that's not just something we talk about. It's something we do. I take a lot of these guys to dinner. Why? Okay, it's important to me. Do I have things I could be doing? Of course I do. But there's nothing more important than me getting to know some of these players.
Scholar.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. You're kind of jumping into the deep end on the business of football and your debut as a head coach with Micah's situation.
That was very interesting to me. Just real quick, I do want to kind of touch on that because that was interesting to me. The comment about Dak, and I was expecting him to be like, "Hey, Dak's going to be at the head of this thing and making sure that we." But no, it truly sounds like what we are witnessing is Brian Schottenheimer cultivating his own unique culture that's specific to him and the program that he's trying to build. And that culture isn't necessarily going to be built around any one particular player. You're not going to have any one particular player's leadership style or their imprint just overtaking the whole team. It sounds more like, to me, man, Shotty, he wants to be in control of this thing. I like that, though. I like a head coach that's like, no, I have a vision for how I want this to be. And I don't want any one player to be bigger than that vision. That's the same kind of way Belichick operated with the Patriots, though.
Is that something you just kind of a taboo topic, or is it something you from time to time kind of see where Micah's headspace is as it relates to that kind of thing?
No, I'm open and honest with all the players. When Mike is here, I want him to be the best version of himself when he's here. This is no different than Zach, a couple years ago, and CD. This is big business. This is the National Football League, and there's negotiations, and there's things that go into it. And we all have advisors. I have an agent. We have advisors, we have agents, and so it's our job to support all of these guys. Again, take Micah's name out of it. It doesn't matter. Insert name, and I'm going to support him and talk to him. And hey, what do you need from me? What can I be doing for you? Hey, I'd love to have you here for this. If you can't be here, I get it. It's all voluntary. And I think people do well with very clear, bright lines. And if I'm calling a player and begging him to come, but yet I don't take the time to go and support him at a foundation event or go take him to dinner, then do I really have what's in their best interest? And if our players ever say I don't have their best interest, then I'm not doing my job, and I'm not being authentic to myself.
Had a chance to build a really strong relationship with Dak over a few years. I just wondered how that's maybe changes or evolves as you become a head coach versus being an assistant.
No, I don't think so. I think, like I said, I'm who I am, and Dak knows me maybe closer than more guys because I've spent more time with him just in terms of being in meetings and stuff. But there's really not anything that I wouldn't share, that I share with Dak, that I wouldn't share with anybody else. So I think, my relationship and, as a head coach is just as important with Osa and with
Shotty's trying to separate himself.
Blue and Javonte Williams.
Shotty's trying to separate himself from being looked at as a quote-unquote Dak Prescott guy. That's what this sounds like to me. He's trying to stand on his own too and be like, hey, I'm my own coach, and Okay, I feel this. I feel it.
And Tyler Booker and insert name as it is with Dak.
Yeah.
Coach Sydney Staples, D210 Sports. As you have gotten to know a player like George Pickens, what is something that you've learned that has maybe surprised you about him?
It's a good question. I'm just beginning to get to know him. I feel like when you learn someone's story about just, their life and their journey and how they got here, I think there's always things that surprise you. I know a number of people that were at Georgia with him that just love the kid. They think the world of him. And my time, like I said, has been incredible just being around him. But it'd be a better question to ask me in another couple weeks when I've had a chance to spend more time with him. Because to me, that's the that's going to be when I really, truly feel like I can say to you, Sydney, hey, yeah, I know him, and here's what I'm most excited about.
And whenever you're kind of looking at finding these places to take these players out to dinner, are you going off of their preference for a dinner spot? Do you have a go-to?
Come on now. That was random
I
as hell.
can't tell you
That
exactly
was such a
where
random
we'll
question.
be.
Come on, man.
I do always pay, so that's
Come on,
cool.
man. Football questions, man.
I
We
do always
OTAs,
pay.
man. Football
we do
questions,
change
man.
the menu up a little bit.
I hate when
but-
reporters get cute with their questions, man. I hate when they get cute with their questions, man. Keep it. We want to know about football. There's too many questions about this team that could be getting asked, man. George Pickens' number. Is that going to be the number he wearing? Ain't nobody asked that.
We try to get 4, 5, 6 guys together and just go talk about life. Football rarely comes up. These guys, we do plenty of football. We do football all day long. What I want to know is why Javonte named his dog what he named his dog, and why, what did this story come from, and all those things. I don't remember what Javonte named his dog. That's terrible. Those are the things that I love talking about. And then for them to share their stories with their teammates allows them, when they're out there on the field and they're having a tough day and it's hot and they're pushing through a padded practice at Oxnard, they're able to truly pull together and work together, and I think that's going to help us finish games, finish practices. When you have a tough moment, you have a tough stretch in the season.
I like how he's laying the
you work
foundation,
through those
man.
problems
I really
because
do.
they believe in one another, and more importantly, they love one another.
I really like how he's laying the foundation.
Well, I'll talk fast.
Talk about culture and everything. One thing we noticed in the middle locker room was the ping pong table. Can you talk about the thought processes behind the ping pong table? It's different than the past.
Yeah, we just moved it in there because I want this place to feel – I want our players to want to be here. I want our players to come in the locker room and for us to have to kick them out. And they have their time frames that they can be here and whatnot. But I love playing ping pong. They love playing ping pong. It's fun to watch these guys compete. It's fun to watch the interaction with the offense and the defense, and watch the shit talking that goes on. The guys that can finish, that have maybe a 9-8 lead with 2 more points needed. It's fun to watch those guys step into that arena and compete at things that maybe the world doesn't know they're good at. And that's one of the cool things that Micah does. He thinks he's the best ping pong player in the building, and there's a handful of guys that would disagree with that.
Where was it before?
It was in the Players Lounge. Thank you, guys.
That was Brian Schottenheimer discussing the start of OTAs, I guess. That was his interview, his opening press conference. Now, I'm not going to lie. We got some interesting stuff out of that, if I'm being completely honest. Again, to me, the thing that stood out the most was Brian Schottenheimer kind of wanting to stand on his own, too, as a head coach. Not really wanting to be looked at as like a Dak Prescott guy. Not wanting this to look like a Dak Prescott operation. It sounds like, to me, Brian Schottenheimer is trying to make this a Brian Schottenheimer operation, and I absolutely respect that, man. I respect that, because at the end of the day, we need QB1 to focus on being the best QB1 he can be. We don't need him trying to be the best corporate businessman, all the other. We need him to be the best QB1 he can be, so I respect that from Brian Schottenheimer. And as far as everything else, it just seems like he's very, very focused on establishing relationships still. It still seems like, to me, he wants his team to be interconnected so that when things are tough and things are starting to get stretched thin, that fabric doesn't actually rip. It just stretches a little bit and they're able to snap back into place like some spandex or something, right? But either way, interesting press conference there. Didn't get a whole lot strategy-wise. Sounds like they're comfortable with their cornerback room. We heard him bring up Javonte Williams' name a lot. I think he brought up Javonte more than Miles. So to me, subconsciously, I think that's kind of a hat tip, kind of letting us know that Javonte Williams is probably ahead of Miles Sanders on the depth chart right now. So that's another kind of interesting nugget that kind of came from just listening to him speak that whole time. But either way, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think stood out to you the most from this Brian Schottenheimer press conference? And I'll see you guys on the next one. How about them Cowboys? Shut your up.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.